out on 1st of April. Now reacting from this extreme weak demand. Why? Because we took liquidity into this demand zone. So this is a monthly unmitigated week that grabbed liquidity. So what do we have here? We have a weak low that didn't do its job and a weak high that didn't do its job. So I'll be looking at these as liquidity and the monthly. So this is what we have on the monthly. As you can see, we've been respecting supply zones. And currently, this supply zone didn't create a low, because its job should be to create a lower low. But actually, demand is still holding at this point. So let's get down to the weekly. As you can see on the monthly, this is our swing range on the monthly, our high and our low. We failed to close below this low over here, which makes this a liquidity grab. As you can see here, this week price action, we actually had a candle close below our monthly low, making this a monthly breakout structure. Maybe now we will be expecting a pullback. So how do we know that the pullback is kicking? We should wait for monthly change of character, which we know we don't usually formulate our trade ideas on monthly. So we'll be going down to the lower time frames to see what's happening over there. But bear it in mind, we have a monthly breakout structure over here. So on the weekly, we have a weekly breakout structure over here, making this our recent weekly high, which got broken over here. This is our high, this is our low, this is our recent high. We had a weekly change of character, and we eventually broke up to have another weekly breakout structure. So let's just mark out the weekly ranges down to the recent price action. We broke down again. We turned bearish at this point. So no need mapping out these choppy price actions. So let's just work with the recent price action. So on here, what do we see happen here? We had a low and we broke up, and we also broke down again, making this our recent low on the weekly, and also making this our recent high on the weekly, which we got broken over here. So this is our low, and this is our current high on the weekly. We also broke this high into supply, which we can see supply took control and caused a weekly change of character. Over here. But this failed to take out this low. Then we went up and grabbed this structural liquidity over here, which was enough to fuel this move down to break this weekly low over here. So let's annotate. This is now our current low on the weekly. We're still marking our price ranges on the weekly. This is our bearish change of character. And we also had a liquidity grab over here. So I would say this is enough weekly pullback. $100 pips. $200 pips. Okay, let's just say these are just all part of the weekly push down to here. So these are all internal highs and lows on the weekly. These are not enough to call a weekly pullback. So our recent high, for us to confirm that the weekly is about to retrace, that's our weekly change of character, was this high over here. We got this weekly change of character after taking this liquidity, this structural liquidity, into our demand zone. Now let's refine this zone to the wicks. This is a part of the unmitigated wicks. We leave in this trend line liquidity as inducement above our POI, and if you can see, this week actually grabbed liquidity from these lows, so making it a great point of interest to look at. So now we are in the monthly / weekly demand zone, which we get a nice weekly reaction from here, which caused our weekly change of character. But we headed straight into supply, which provided us with a reaction. As you can see, this supply reaction is having problems. Closing below this low, which also indicates maybe demand chain is forming. Maybe we'll be getting a demand chain to push this price higher, because as you can see, weekly has been on a one push bearish move. We've been on a one leg bearish move, which we'll be looking for a bit of pullback to continue the move, or we could see a reversal from here. So we don't actually know, we just react to price action. So right now we are sitting on a weekly demand zone cost change of character. So to me, this is still a weak low because it didn't do anything significant, just a weekly change of character. I'm still sitting in that. So as you can see on the weekly, what's going on here. So our weekly change of character was actually a daily break of structure, but this is a daily internal break of structure. It was following our daily swings. This was our last daily break of structure. And we had another break of structure. And we had another break of structure. So this was just a one move down, and we created an internal high, which we got broken over here. So our last daily swing is this. So let's get our premium and discount tools. We reacted of the daily premium, yeah, which is we reacted from this daily mitigated week. And we still have some unmitigated other blocks over here. This zone actually grabbed liquidity. And these as well. These are the top zones we should be looking at in our daily. Very internal break of structure, leaving us with a nice daily demand zone. So looking at this price action, you can see we had an impulse, but this pullback wasn't that corrective. This was an aggressive pullback into our demand zone, and this push up looks a bit choppy. So we might be seeing a continuation of this bearish leg, or this demand zone we hold, maybe feed these highs over here to these supply zone over here. So I have the push down. So if price gets to this supply zone over here, I'll obviously be looking for sells. So we'll be heading down to the 4 hours to see what's going on over there. And also following order flow, this would be this should be our week internal high to break. So let's just look out for both possibilities. We might get a shot from here down to continue the monthly and weekly bearish move, or we'll see how price develops. Maybe it shows us a bit of signal over here. Maybe we can ride this up to this supply zone, or even check if we break this internal high, then we have a new swing range to formulate our buy ideas from to continue the push up. What can we see here? Looking from the left, we had a 4-hour break of structure over here. This daily internal boss was our 4-hour high. And we had another 4-hour break of structure over here. Making these our 4-hour internal high. Thus we had a break. We had a shallow pullback and another break. So making this our 4-hour internal high and this our 4-hour swing. And we had our 4 hour change of character over here. And we also have another break of structure on the 4 hours, making this our high. Coming into this our daily demand zone. Okay, we reacted off this 4 hour extreme week, unmitigated week, I mean, sorry. And this week also grabbed liquidity from these lows, making this a nice zone. And we also had inducements above our zone. And as well, we took these lows over here into our zone, making this a high probability zone to look for longs. And as we can see, let's measure this. This was currently our 4 hour pullback. Our 4 hour range swing structure, sorry, which got broken over here. And since then we have been in this complex pullback throughout the week. This is our 4 hour high, which haven't been broken. And we are building tons of trend line liquidity. So where did we react from here? We reacted from this supply zone over here on the 4 hours. Sorry. Mm. So what happened here during the week? As you can see, price came here and we generated equal lows. Which also got swept. And you went and mitigated this 4 hour mitigated zone. So this actually makes sense. We had an inducement above our 4 hour mitigated zone. This week actually took liquidity from these lows and these lows, and this was actually responsible for this break of structure. So we are getting a reaction from this unmitigated wick, but the reaction haven't really shown us anything significant. So for this to show something significant, we have to cause a 4-hour change of character, which is this high, this current recent high over here. So let's check the price action and see what happened. See, we had a push down and we had a push up. We had another push down and a push up, another push down. Another push down and a push up. Then all this push down, a push up and a push down. Making this our recent internal high that needs to be broken to show us some bullish signals so that we can formulate a nice long trade from this. Maybe catch this continuation up to this daily supply zone over here. So currently we still at this 4-hour supply zone over here. Let's see how price reacts with this supply zone over here at the coming week. So let's head down to the 15 minutes. See what happened. We actually had a 15 minutes pulse record structure, making this our current 15 minutes strong low. And this our 15 minutes high. So we had a 15 minutes breakout structure. We currently generated another 15 minutes swing structure, which was this low. As if you measure this pullback, this wasn't up to 15 pips, this was actually 11 pips. So this was more of a pullback, 35 pips. This was one straight push down. which we had another 15 minutes break of structure, which this was a 4 hour, sorry, this was a 4 hour change of character, 4 hour. Well, as you can see, it took this 15 minutes high into this range. So why did we take this high? Actually, as you can see, we generated an equal high over here. So we took this equal high into our supply range, which was then enough to formulate these cells down to our 4 hour range, 4 hour zone, demand zone, sorry. So like this happened on Thursday. Actually, I missed this entry by a pip on Thursday. Yeah, I missed the entry by a pip. As you can see, we had a very nice bullish impulse to take out these equal highs, which is what I was looking at as my target, but it missed my entry by a pip. So I was actually waiting for a new range to look for long entries, because this was a 4 hour change of character. This was a 4 hour change of character, so I was looking at something like this to get down to discount prices and wait for a change of character to catch the move up. As you can see, we didn't get that. We actually took this low into our demand zone. Why did we take this low? We are forming a equal lows below this demand zone over here. So let's know if we can refine this zone down to the 15 minutes. So this was our 15 minutes unmitigated week. I was left inside this 4 hour zone, which got mitigated. And we had a nice 15 minutes change of character. And a nice flip. So what we'll be looking at on next coming week would be, as you can see, we took this was a 4 hour equal lows into a 4 hour demand zone, but 4 hour haven't given us a 4 hour change of character, which is all the way up here. So let's mark our 15 minute zones. Our 15 minutes break of bearish break of structure. This is our current 15 minutes leg, our 15 minutes high. And we also had a change of character here. So what should we be expecting next week? We have two scenarios here. As you can see, 15 minutes is having its pullback. We are having a 15 minutes pullback, which we got by this we are having this 15 minutes pullback. So how do we know that 15 minutes is ready to pull back? We know by showing us a bullish or bearish 15 minutes change of character, which we got here. So as we can see, demand is actually in control. So we will see what happens when we get to supply. So now, following the mitigations, this actually block an internal high. So if price gets to here in the coming week, I might actually look for longs, but I'm expecting something like this. So I'm expecting something like this. Then I will be looking for longs from this demand zone, maybe into this supply zone over here, and see what happens. So from here to here, I should be risk free under 1 minute. I see what happens with supply over here. Maybe we will get the bullish movement, we will be bullish idea we've been waiting for. But for the meantime, I will look for longs from here. If I see these criteria, that's building a weak low and taking the liquidity into this demand zone, causing a change of character and return to demand, I'll be taking a long trade from here into the supply zone. So we should be open to both possibilities, both buy and sell. So I would like to sell from this zone. As you can see, we are reacting from 15 minutes premium zone. We had the liquidity grab and the change of character. So you might as well look for a trade entries over here coming week. But looking at this, this is just building liquidity for our zones up here. So actually it's best and wise to stay off the middle, that is the fair value, and take trade from the extremes. So now let's head into last week's price action. So looking at last week's price action, starting from here, we had a 15 minutes break of structure, and we have a massive 15 minutes range. This was our 15 minutes range, which was very massive. So what you could do here is play the internal structures. So let's mark out the internal structures. Let's start from here. We had a 15 minutes change of character. And also our internal break of structure, which I consider as an IBOS. And we had another internal break of structure over here. And we had another one here. Coming into the new week, we also had another one here. Sorry. Following this internal structure, and coming in on Monday on on London, price was actually here. So we reacted from coming in on London. We had a 15 minutes internal change of character, leaving us with a 15 minutes demand zone to look for longs. Coming into London here to look for longs. What actually made this low a significant POI? You can see this demand zone actually took liquidity, and also mitigated something at this zone right here. So whether it mitigates or it didn't mitigate, but we took liquidity and we caused change of character, and also we are generating liquidity above here. So to formulate this trade idea, we already had double break of structure, internal break of structure on 15 minutes. So as we can see, internal structure is bullish, and we got this 15M change of character over here, which is a bullish signal. You can actually look for trades. Yeah, you can argue we had another bearish change of character over here. Yeah, you can argue, but it's worth checking on in the 1 minute time frame. It's not about what checking. We already had a 2 internal break of structure, so at this time you should be looking for longs till there is another bearish IBOS. Then you can start looking for bearish trades. So whether you got a bearish change of character, actually change of character isn't a good signal, isn't always a good signal to look for trades like that. But with all the conferences we have over here, two internal break of structure, grabbing of liquidity, and a 15 minutes change of character, and we are building buy side liquidity. So you should be looking for longs and not shorts because of this bearish signal over here. So let's check what happened on the 5 minutes. As you can see, coming to the 5 minutes, we had 5 minutes change of character, which now confirms this zone, for us. So we could have confidence in looking for long entries from this demand zone over here. And what did this demand zone do? It also grabbed liquidity from this low, making this a good demand zone to look for longs. So let's head down to our entry time frame and see what we had. So on our entry time frame, we actually had a 1 minute change of character over here. One minute change of character. And we didn't have any reaction from this demand zone over here, supply zone, sorry. There was no reaction from this supply zone over here. We just had a clean push up. And a return to origin, but as you can see, this didn't actually fill all the imbalance we had over here. So now we also had a 1 minute break of structure, making this a strong 1 minute low and a strong 1 minute high. So if you wanted to take trades, this actually isn't a flip, because we so you can see what happened here. There was no flip. This change of character actually is the one responsible to taking out these supplies on over here. So which means there's a lot of orders in this candle over here to take trades, and you've been seeing this as your inducement for the zone. I actually take trades with 2 pips. So let's see if we got an entry. So this now depends on how you handle your stop loss. I usually leave my I usually always cover the low. So I might have not been tagged in this trade if I did cover the low with a pip. So I might actually not get tagged in. But if you always take the distal, and cover in the low, which will warrant actually 2.1 pip stop loss, which is not actually is not bad. Covered in the low. So our targets would be first this Asian high would be our first target. This Asian high would be our first target, which is 8 arrow. Then this would be our first TP. Then aiming for 15 minutes break of structure, as we are already bullish in this time frame. That would be the bigger targets, but as I can advise, always take profits as structural zones and don't always have your eyes on the bigger targets. Or if you have a fixed RR you usually go by for the day, that would also be good, as I always look for 10 hour every day that I get into the market. So this would be my 10 hour. So this would be my green trade, sorry, in and out. So let's keep going. So this was actually the reasons why I usually have a daily target. You can see what happened here. Price came down and actually took our sell stops before generating another move up that actually broke our 15 minutes high. So this is more of the reasons why I usually have a fixed target for the day, and be grateful with what you have. That's the way that I trade. Take from the market daily and be grateful for what you already had, because the market is meant to just take the market as an ATM machine. It's meant for you to withdraw money. So take your profit for the day and call it a day. Have a daily target. So coming into New York, what do we have on 15 minutes? We actually had a 15 minutes change of character from here. Then coming into New York, New York actually took this high over here, which was enough to push this market down. So where is our range, and our range is between this low and this high. So we should be looking for discount prices. So which zones? We would have been marking out the zones. Actually, there was nothing clean here for me to mark except this week, which you can see was used as liquidity. Sorry, there was nothing really good here to mark out. So if you waited on your hands, you could have formed a nice long entry with this 15 minutes change of character, another bullish 15 minutes change of character, leaving us with this demand zone to look for trades. And we also had a 5 minutes change of character over here. So what would you have done over here? You would have been in our entry time frame looking for trades from here, but as you can see, I just trade London and New York, and it's past 3. I don't take any trade after 3 p.m. New York time, so I did call this a day on Monday. So let's check what happened on Tuesday. So coming into Tuesday, we already had our break of structure. We already had our 15 minutes break on structure on Tuesday. So coming into New York, coming into London, I had these zones marked out. I had these zones marked out. This was my flip. We flipped off this supply here. And this was my extreme demand. So coming into London, price was actually here. Price was actually generating equal lows for this zone as I was looking at it, and this was my range, my internal range on 15 minutes. This was my internal range. And this was also our 15M bearish change of character. As you can see, you haven't gotten any bearish change of character. But instead we got a bullish change of character over here. So what do you guys know after break of structure? According to what we already know, after a break of structure, we expect a pullback. How do we know a pullback is ready to kick in? We wait for 15 minutes and change of character. We haven't really getting the change of character over here, but we got internal bullish change of character over here. So it wouldn't be bad if you looked for long entries from here to continue the 15-year bullish momentum. Wouldn't be a bad trade idea because it actually made sense. But why I wouldn't look for buys from this zone is kindly because you are building tons of equal lows below. So I wouldn't be confident taking long entries from here. But if you did take long entries from here, it wasn't a bad idea as far as you had your entry model here. So we'll look into this and see what happened. So I had all these supply zones marked out. I was following this supply chain. So what I was looking at coming to London was we mitigated the demand zone and this didn't do its job. And also this low didn't do its job. It didn't create a higher high, making this low didn't do its job, making this a weak low, and we mitigated the demand zone and it didn't create another higher high, making this another weak low. So I was actually looking for sales at this moment. I was looking for sales and I saw this. We had grab of liquidity over here. And you also head into demand zone. Head into this demand zone here. This weak demand zone, which only provided us with a reaction into the supply chain. So why did I take this trade over here? I took this trade because one, we're having this bearish supply chain. We're having this supply chain. Two, we have um we have equal lows here to take out. Three, after a break of structure, we expect a pullback. Yeah, coming into London. So these are the three conferences that I had for me to look for short entries from this supply zone over here. So let's head on to the lower time frame. And four, as you can see, we also refine our zones if it also grabbed liquidity. So like my mentor always said, we always trade away from liquidity grabs, not into liquidity grabs. So that was another conference for me to look for sales from here because we had a liquidity grab over here. On the 5 minutes, we haven't even gotten a bearish change of character on the 5 minutes. So on the 1 minute, this is what I was looking at on the 1 minute. As you can see, we had a liquidity grab and we pushed down, creating an equal lows over here. 1 minute equal lows, and we pushed up to mitigate this 1 minute candle or grab liquidity. Then following the supply chain, we had an internal break of structure here on the 1 minute. So where should you have looked for sells on the 1 minute? We had something like this. So we had a break here, making this a strong high and a low, but it's all internal structure. So looking at price actions over here, nothing really made sense. We had efficient price action over here, except for this candle. And this, you can actually say that this is a flip, because we had a push down, a push up, a push down, another push up that mitigated this supply zone, and we had a break from here. We had a break from here. So this was the last supply zone. I had so many others that broke this structure. So I had my limits. Set on this candle over here. Actually, I took this pip with 2.2 pip. I usually cover the highs. 2.3 pips, sorry. And one thing to say, I actually went against my trade plan, because I usually take trades with just 2 pip. But this is something I'm actually working on. I'm working on taking trades with as low as 2.5 pips. Is actually still something. And the stop loss is actually still low. I remember those days when I used to take trades with 10 pips, even up to 20 pips. So 2 pips is actually still nice. So I took this trade from here because of this candle here. So as you can see, it played out. Then if you are waiting for a pure 15 minutes signal for you to take this trade, this would have been it. This demand zone, this was a weak demand zone, so we got into the weak demand zone, which actually will provide a reaction. So this was our reaction, and this was our failed reaction of this zone. This was our first base. So this is actually our FR and the 15 minutes. You could have actually looked for trades from this candle over here. This would have been a pure 15-minute signal to take this confirmation signal to take these trades down. On 1M, what actually happened? We actually got into mitigate this flip zone. This was actually a flip zone. This was a flip zone because this was our demand, and price got into our demand, had a reaction. So making this our POI to look for trades. perceive that EU is now getting a bit volatile. So that's more of the reasons why I'm trying to implement the 2.5 pip stop loss rule. But it's still under construction. So for now, what I just do is just take trades from the digital and cover my low or high just for the meantime. So this would have been our New York entry. London, we didn't actually have a nice setup on London. I wouldn't have taken these long trades here on London. So there wasn't a nice trade setup for me on London. But let's go through the entry model here on 1 minute. So London we just had 1 minute change of character, which means there was no flip. So you would have taken the trade. You would have taken the trade right from the extreme demand, which was this. I would say London had a nice trade entry with 2 pips, covering the low, getting in and out, 10 pips as my daily target in and out. Yeah, there was a nice trade entry, but after the reasons why I wouldn't have taken these longs, we are actually taking these longs from a weak low. So if that's among your trade plan, that's great, but I don't take trades from weak lows, weak highs, sorry. So let's just speed this up. Coming into Wednesday, so what was our range on Wednesday? Coming into Wednesday, we actually had yeah, we had a 15M change of character over here. Sorry, yeah, we had a 15M change of character. But coming into London, this was our recent low. So this was our current range coming into London. So this was our range coming into London. And we had a 15-minute change of character over here. Making this, leaving us with a good demand zone. To look for long entries up to supply. These are our supply zones. on London, we actually had a 5 minutes change of character. First, we had a push up, a push down, a push up, a push down, and a push up, and a push down. Making this our recent internal high, which we got a change of character and the return into this demand zone. So let's head further down to our entry time frame. So you can see this was our flip. Though it didn't actually touch the zone, but I actually count this as a reaction, because you can see what happened. Had a push down, we reacted, and we had a change of character, so making that a nice candle to look for long entries. This would be our aggressive entry, or let's say you are looking for trade after 15 minutes change of character. So you would have been waiting for a 1 minute change of character, which we had over here. This was our 1 minute change of character. Why? As you can see, we had a push down, a push up, a push down, a push up, a push down, another push up, and a push down. Then we had a change of character. So taking this trade from here, this was the candle that caused a change of character. I always cover the low. So as you can see, this would have been a missed trade for me, but if I was actually using the 2.5 pip stop loss rule that I'm actually implementing on, this would have been a good trade for me. Then targeting for 10R, or targeting for our supply zone, which was actually about 13R, making this a good trade on London. So heading into New York, we actually had 15 minutes change of character, bearish change of character, leaving us with a nice supply zone to look for trades. So look for our continuation trades. So in 5 minutes, we actually first had our change of character here. On 5 minutes, leaving us with this candle, and this candle actually grabbed liquidity, and actually has an imbalance to fill, and also we had inducements above our zone. So this would have been a good demand zone, supply zone, sorry, to look for the trade entries. So let's see what happened on 1 minute. On 1 minute, we actually took this liquidity on 1 minute. We didn't mitigate our zone. Well, actually, we mitigated the 50-minute zone, but we didn't mitigate our 5-minute zone and obviously our 1 minute zone. So what would you have been waiting for? We would have been waiting for a 1 minute bearish change of character to align ourselves with the 15 minutes bearish change of character. So this was a 1 minute change of character. So where would you have been looking for trades? This was our last reaction, as you can see. Before we took these highs, before we took these highs, these are our last fractal sell to buy, as you can see. We had a reaction from there, and then we had a change of character. You wouldn't have known that this was a reaction. That's cool. So what again would you have said that happened here? As you can see, we had no reaction from demand. So what would you have done? You would have taken the trade from extreme. If you have no reaction from demand, that means take your trade from the extreme. So this is actually what I've been noticing on EU recently. I usually take trade with 2 pips, but I've seen these encounters. I usually miss trades with that 2 pips. So that's why I'm trying to make it 2.5. Covering this high would have been covering this high. Okay, 2.5 cover the high. So this would have been a nice sell on Wednesday. So that rounds up our New York price action on entry on Wednesday. So let's head down to Thursday. Actually had a nice long entry on Thursday. So actually had a nice long entry on Thursday. This was what I was actually looking at on Thursday. This was our big 4-hour demand zone that we had on Thursday. This was our big demand zone that we marked out, that we were waiting for to get a reaction on Thursday. Last week, sorry. It was actually just on Thursday. Last week. So we were actually looking for long entries from this demand zone. So as my mentor always say, cream pushes like this always and usually gets run. So we are not surprised that this zone actually got run over. But on 15 minutes, we're actually looking at these zones on 15 minutes. We had this extreme on 15 minutes. And we also had this buy to sell weeks, which wasn't actually that visible. But these was the two zones that we were actually looking at to look for our trade entries. Like we say, we react, we don't predict. So coming into London, price was actually up here. So I should be still be looking for sells, but immediately we tapped into this 4 hour big zone. I stopped looking for long entries and focused on I stopped looking for sell entries and focused on long entries. But that was the mistake that I made. I would have got this sell, but like my mentor still always say, follow the trend till there's no trend to follow. So that was my mistake. So assuming I was on my right mindset coming into Thursday, I would have seen this as a bearish 15 minutes change of character, which we actually took liquidity, Asian high liquidity. Into this zone, which caused this 15 minutes change of character, and we wicked our Asian low, which was enough to push this price up to our supply zone. So what happened here? As you can see, we caused a 15 minutes change of character, and we took this liquidity and we came into our 4 hour zone. So this would have created a higher high, but it didn't. Okay, we came into our supply range. Now this should have created a lower low, but as you can see, it didn't create a lower low, making this weak low and weak high. Now price actually took this weak high into our supply zone, which should have been enough for me to look for sell entries down. So let's head down to the lower time frame. There was nothing significant here on 5 minutes, except that we had our 5 minutes change of character. Here we had our 5 minutes change of character early on here, leaving us with supply zones from this zone. So actually there was no good entry. There was no a good 1 minute entry from here. We just had a 1 minute change of character. which realigned with our 15 minutes change of character. But we were looking to take trades from this extreme. But as you can see, price didn't get to the extreme and it dumped. So there was not a good entry for me on New York. On London, sorry. I always miss up my speeches. Sorry. So heading into our 4 hour zone, violated this zone. We also violated this extreme 15 demand, but we are still present in the 4 hour big demand zone. So what happened here? I was actually on 5 minutes getting to New York. I was actually on 5 minutes waiting for at least 5 minutes change of character to formulate a long ideas. Because what happened here? When this was created, we actually created an equal highs. We actually created equal highs on 15 minutes. So I was looking at this as liquidity, and we are in 4 hour demand zone. So if we got this 5 minutes change of character, which still gives me an idea we'll be heading into this surprise zone over here, or even take out these equal highs. So that was what I was actually looking at on New York. As you can see, we had our change of character. I was waiting for price to actually head down to our extreme demand. Why this demand zone? This demand actually took liquidity from this low. So we actually took liquidity from that low. As you can see, we had no flip here. There was no flip, so I had my entry I had my 2 pip entry over here. As you guys can see, this was the reasons that I was actually trying to increase my stop loss, because I've already had tons of cases where I actually missed trades, a lot of good trades. So what happened? See what happened? We tapped in. We created a weak low. This low actually didn't do anything. We tapped in. We created a weak low. So I was actually looking at this low to get taken. That was the reason I set my demand. Sorry, that was the reason I set my limit here. So I was actually looking at this as a weak low. As you can see here on trading view, I actually got tagged in, but on my MT4 I wasn't tagged in. So one of the reasons why I was trying to increase my stop loss. So you actually know what actually happened here on Thursday. We did took out the equal highs. So making this a very nice trade. Up to here was 41 R, which was a very nice trade. So coming into Friday, actually I didn't trade on Friday, but assuming that I traded on Friday, I would have been looking at this. This was our new swing range on 15 minutes. So I would be looking at my discount prices. I would have been looking for long entries from this candle. And also this extreme. So on Friday, coming into London, we had a 15 minutes change of character. And this was also our 5 minutes change of character. I would have been looking for long entries from here. And also from this failed reaction over here. So what happened? As you can see, we had a 5 minute failed reaction and 5 minute change of character and also 15 minutes change of character. So it would have been nice to look for entries from this decisional and this extreme zone. As you can see, the decisional, sorry, the decisional, shit, I can't really find my words, but you guys know what I mean. The decisional flip zone actually failed, and it was actually past 10 o'clock. So this actually saved, this would have actually saved me on Friday. I don't actually take trades after 10 o'clock. So I would have stayed on my hands till New York. So getting into New York, you would have been waiting for 5 minutes change of character to formulate our trade long ideas. Sorry, but as you can see, supply was actually holding. We didn't get our 5 minutes change of character, so actually there was no trade entry for me here on Friday, and actually I didn't trade on Friday. So our next zone would have been the extreme, getting into New York. Our change of character would have still been up here, because we had a push down, a push up, a push down. All this actually broke the previous candle lows. So this was our current high. This was our current high. So in 5 minutes, I would have been looking for 5 minutes change of character. And we actually got the 5 minutes change of character, but actually took out our zone. So there was no entry here. And that brings us to the end of New York, and also brings us to the end of this weekly recap. So next week, what we'll be looking at on next week is looking for long entries from here to supply, and also have in mind this is actually a strong supply zone, because we actually took liquidity and we actually broke something. So we will also looking for sell entries from here down also. So it's a good hedge to look for sells from here and look for buys from here. So that will be our next week's analysis. Yeah. So that brings us to the end of today's weekly recap. Thank you, and I hope you guys like the weekly recap. Like, subscribe, and share. Thanks for watching. Bye. I hope you guys have a good week. Goodbye.